Good afternoon, Rotarians. Thank you all for being here today. Before we get started, I want to thank you for being flexible and for your patience. We found out that the Baylor Club was closed today a couple of weeks ago, and so we really shifted. I want to thank Catherine for doing all the hard work. We shifted gears to make things happen. If Tom Hill, where are you? Will you stand up, Tom? Let everybody see you. Tom. Tom did all the heavy lifting here and got us into the Sports Hall of Fame. He got the catering for us. He's been moving cups. He's been moving food in for us. So thank you so much, Tom. I really appreciate your hard work on making this happen. I want to mention that both Tom Hill and Lee Fisher are on the executive committee of the Board of Trustees at the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. So, and Lee, I think, mentioned that he's been on the board for 30 years. Is that right? Lee, thank you so much for doing that. That's very cool. We are on track this year for first and third Tuesdays of the month. That won't change, and we are back at the Baylor Club next meeting, so hopefully this will be our only setback. And we've got some exciting news to announce. Hopefully later this afternoon we can announce for our next meeting, our next program at the next meeting, so hopefully we'll get that announced later this afternoon. Okay, Larry, if you don't mind, if you'll start us off with the national anthem.
All right, let's all stand. We got great acoustics. Start quality of your voice. It's like singing to a shout. National anthem. Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose firelights and bright stars through the
Stay standing. Kim Patterson will give our invocation.
Thank you, Tyler. Please join me in prayer. Dear Lord, as we begin this new year, we thank you for your abundant blessings on each of us and on our Rotary Club. Thank you for the opportunity to create positive connections with each other and positive change in our community through service. Please bless each person here today with good health, profound hope, and a promising tomorrow. Amen. Okay, we have some guests with us today, if everyone can be seated. First, I'd like to recognize Grady Krausen, who is a guest of Dana Broadway. Can you give us a wave? There he is. Lori Durrell is a guest of Susie Pagel, right here in the middle. Hello, Lori. Katie Garrett is a guest of Trish Griffin. Katie, give us a wave. And Brad Record is a guest of James Jackson. Thanks for coming.
Thank you, Kim. And one other announcement I'd like to have, if Sabrina will come up, she would like to talk to y'all about the Challenge 2023.
Okay, hello everyone. Challenge is happening January 28th, so it's coming up very fast. If you don't know what Challenge is, it's the production put on by Rotary and our local news station, KXXV. It's for all area high schools that want to participate, and it's a general trivia competition. So I have a couple of trivia questions here, short on time, so only have 6. We're gonna play just like they play. You just shout it out if you know the answer, holler loudly so I can hear you. Okay, the first 50-star flag ever flown is now kept in Fort McHenry, Maryland. The first 49-star flag is kept in what state capital? Alaska, good job, whoever got that. What 13-letter word refers to the restoration of life or consciousness to one apparently dead? Resuscitation. The southernmost point of Thailand lies on the northern border of what Asian nation? Yell it up. Malaysia. With a wingspan of up to 10 feet, name this endangered vulture named after a state. California condor, yes.
Way to go, Dave.
An interval in music designates the distance between 2 different notes. What is the interval between the notes C and G? What was that? Any musicians? A fifth? A fifth. I saw some hands. Yes, a fifth. Okay, and a sports question for our last question since we're here today. In 1956, who was the first African-American player to win Wimbledon tennis? Not Arthur Ashe, that was in 75. Althea, yes, Althea Gibson. So that's how these high schoolers play, and they do this for 30 minutes straight. So you can imagine how bright and amazing these students are that come. It's a very cool competition. And we welcome any Rotarians to show up on January 28th for that competition. If you want to just watch or be involved, we would love to have you there. But I do need your help. All the schools have been gathered, all the trivia is being gone through, but we don't have swag bags yet. So this is a single elimination competition. Schools that lose, go home empty-handed. So to make sure that all those students have a good experience, the swag bags really help. We've had feedback every year that these kids look really forward to those swag bags. So I have 85 students coming. So I need bags, pens, pencils, any promo items. I mean, we've seen hand sanitizer, shirts, anything that you can come up with. I think last year the Mablewood Museum gave 2 free tickets to all students. We'll take anything. And if you don't have 75 items or 85 items, if you only have nice stuff, I think one year the Waco Police Department gave us like 10 really nice items. I give those to the teachers. If you give me too much stuff, I save it for the next year. So I promise I'll put it to good use. The schools coming are the returning schools, Midway, Vanguard, Waco High, Belton, Parker Heights, and China Spring. But this year we also have Valley Mills, Axtell, West, and Parker Heights Early College. So I really want these kids, especially the schools that are coming for the first time, to have a great experience. You can get Catherine is going to send out an email for those who are not here, but you can drop these off at my office, and I'll look in my crystal ball and tell you what the market's going to do this next year. Or I'll come get them from you. If you email me and tell me a good time and place, I'll come get them, or you can bring them to our next meeting, which is, I think, the 17th. So I'll have Catherine send out another email reminding you, but please, if you have any promo items, I'll take money. I think Jim Newcomb gave me money last year. I bought the bags with that money, so please help us make this a great program for those students. Thanks.
Thank you, Sabrina. It's great to hear we have so many schools lined up for this year. Thank you for your hard work on that. One other guest I want to notice is Chappie Bean. If you will, wave your hand. He is a guest of Shauna Bean. So thank you for being here, Chappie. All right, we have a couple Paul Harris Fellows we would like to present today. As you know, the Paul Harris Fellow is named after the Paul Harris who started Rotary, and it's once you've donated $1,000 to the Rotary Foundation over your tenure of being a Rotarian, then you become a Paul Harris Fellow. We have 2 new Paul Harris Fellows today. We want to recognize them, have them come up and receive their certificate and their pin. Robert West. Robert, are you here? No? Okay, then we're going to skip over to Curtis Brown. I know Curtis is here. Congratulations on becoming a Paul Harris Fellow. Okay, all right. Rodney Kroll, are you here? All right, I guess Rodney did his RSVP to be here, but I guess he didn't make it. So we're going to move right along to our chair of the day, Chana B.
Hello, Shanna Bean. I'm happy to present Nick Florence, who serves as the Managing Director of Development for Principal Gifts, where he oversees athletic major giving fundraising and helps secure principal gifts for Baylor across all areas. He joined Baylor University Development in 2013 following a very successful Baylor football career. Florence is applying from a graduate intern in University Development in 2013 to his current role, which he assumed in June of 2022. His first full-time position at Baylor was as Assistant Director of Development in 2014. Then he was elevated to the Director of Development for Athletics later that year. A Dallas, Texas native, Florence is credited with funding projects across the athletics department, including the Billy W. Williams Golf Practice Facility and Clubhouse at $6.3 million. Baylor Baseball Clubhouse updates at $800,000. Baylor built programming at $1 million plus. Simpson Center Waiting Room renovations at $2 million plus, and numerous additional endeavors. He also oversees athletics fundraising efforts of the Baylor University Give Life campaign, which includes the Foster Pavilion and Fudge Football Development Center. Florence earned a Bachelor of Business and Administration in Economics from Baylor in 2011, and he completed a Master of Business Administration at Baylor in 2013. An All-American quarterback for the Bears, Florence set Baylor's single game 581 yards and single season 4,309 passing yards records. He was named Big 12 Scholar Athlete of the Year and a first-team academic All-American following his senior year, when he capped his career with a win over number 17 UCLA in the 2012 Holiday Bowl. Florence is married to the former Rachel Scott, graduated from Baylor in 2010 with a Bachelor of Arts in Journalism. The couple has one daughter, Ella Kate, and one son, Judah. Thank you, and I'm happy to present Nick Florence.
Welcome. Thank y'all for having me. This is a treat. It's fun to see some familiar faces that I haven't seen in a while. Some I see more often than others. But first, I just want to say thank you for what you do. I love the Waco community. I came to college here 15 years ago, and I don't have a desire to really leave. It's a special place. It's changed a lot in the last 15 years. But it's a special community, and you guys are a large part of that with the way you impact the community. And luckily, I still get the honor and privilege to serve at Baylor and in athletics. And I think we have an opportunity before us, and you're starting to see construction of Foster Pavilion, but to continue to change the landscape of Central Texas for the better. I think this community has a lot going for it. We have a lot of opportunity to make an impact, not only in the state, but in our community. And so it's a privilege, and so thank you for all you do. What I want to do today is just get to share with you a little bit about the Paul and Alejandra Foster Pavilion. So if you've driven by, hopefully you saw it coming here today, but steel is going up, and it's going up quick. And it's fun to watch. So I office in Clifton Robinson Tower. And so every day going up the elevator, I get to see what has transpired over the previous 24 hours. And they're doing an amazing job. The crazy thing is knowing what it looks like today and to think 1 year from now, literally 365 days, we'll be playing our first basketball game in Foster Pavilion, which is wild to think about. But it's going to be an incredible venue. And I think what I love about it before I jump in this is purely a basketball venue, but the impact that it will have on all of our student athletes is amazing to think about. We're building Foster Pavilion. We're also building Fudge Football Development Center. And so between both of those projects, all of our student athletes are going to benefit. Football will move out of Simpson Center. And so we'll expand our Student Athlete Center for Excellence. So Chana mentioned Baylor Build. Baylor Build is our programming for all of our off-the-field impact and growth and transformation of our student athletes. And so it's a powerful tool that we use, taking our student athletes through curriculum over their 4 years of being here. And so we'll expand our area for that programming. And then when basketball moves out of Farrell Center, volleyball and acrobatics and tumbling will now have a true home. Acrobatics and tumbling, actually, their locker room is in Mars McLean Gymnasium across from the sub. And so volleyball got their first locker room at the Farrell Center 2 years ago. So we're making strides. And so while this impacts basketball and football, maybe in the most common light, and it's easy to the naked eye, it really impacts all of our student athletes, which is what makes these projects fun and special. And for me, my job in fundraising, I love projects because it keeps me employed. Have something to fundraise for. So it's a privilege. Between Foster Pavilion and Fudge Football Development Center, our goal, or really cost of those two projects alone together, is roughly $300 million. And so our goal is to fundraise a little over $160 million of that cost. So north of the 50% mark, which is pretty remarkable. And the city of Waco will also jump in as a donor on top of that, and some other funds that we have set aside as a university. But it's going to be pretty special to see. And today we've raised north of $143 million. So we're about $20 million from our goal that we need to hit in the next 5 months. So if anybody's interested, we can talk afterwards. But it's a fun project, and it impacts our city in a tremendous way. I'll start off by just giving you an aerial map, and you've seen it, so you know where it is. This map isn't as important as it used to be when there was no dirt being moved. But as you can see, the large gray rectangle is the actual arena itself. The kind of white skirting the north and west sides of the pavilion is the development center. And so that will be where men's and women's basketball actually have their day-to-day home. So they'll have their locker rooms, their practice gyms, weight room, training room, coaches' offices. So this will be a one-stop shop for both men's and women's basketball at Baylor. As you can see, the kind of diagonal building in the bottom right corner is Clifton Robinson Tower. That is going to stay. And so that is actually where my office is, and so I need it to stay so that I can go to work every day. But right now that will be a part of the complex. It'll kind of give you, you'll see an image here in a minute, kind of an American Airlines Center feel, kind of very urban downtown feel. And then this gray, dark gray rectangle to the left of Foster Pavilion is a parking garage. And so that will be the whole complex, and it will be a really, really cool atmosphere at Foster Pavilion. So this is the main entryway. So right now at Farrell Center, there's really no front door. And so we really wanted to create a true front door to Foster Pavilion. So this is where the majority of our fans will enter. Off to the right, kind of jets back, that will be a student entrance. And so they will have their own designated entrance to the facility for our 850 students that will be able to attend games on a student ticket. And then off to the left over here will be a premium entrance that is tied to 2 different club spaces at Foster Pavilion. And you can see kind of on the right side right there is Clifton Robinson Tower. This is a really good aerial image where you can see the parking garage to the left and Clifton Robinson to the right. And really a gathering place for fans right outside the front door of Foster Pavilion. We've never had a place like this before. When you think about Farrell Center, it's all parking lot around the Farrell Center. So this will be a really unique opportunity for us as an athletic department to brainstorm and be creative on how we create fan engagement opportunities outside of Foster Pavilion. Some of you may have been to the Big 12 tournament in Kansas City. They do a really good job at the tournament every March outside of, I think it's T-Mobile Arena now, T-Mobile Center. There's a lot of fan engagement outside of it for the Big 12 tournament. So we'll have the ability to do different things like that outside of this plaza area, kind of similar to McLean Stadium outside of in that plaza. So there is a brick campaign going on too, and so you can find that on the Baylor website if you want to purchase a brick just like McLean Stadium. And here what I think is really our greatest asset is the river. How do we utilize the river? We did a great job with McLean Stadium, and so wanting to really create an opportunity for Foster Pavilion as well. You think about men's and women's basketball, there's kind of a curved look right there in the development center. The second floor of that is our coaches' offices. So what I like to imagine is Scott or Nikki having a top recruit in January, and hopefully it's weather like we've had this last week. They can sit outside on a patio with a recruit, it's 70 degrees outside, and hopefully that recruit goes to Iowa State, Kansas State, wherever the next week, and it's 0 degrees and blizzard. So that's what we hope for, and really trying to capitalize on the river. Obviously, having boats and different things will be a fun part of it. The city of Waco, I believe, will also really kind of spruce up the Riverwalk. So there'll be a part of that gets redone as well. And I think they've already had some initial city council meetings on that and what renderings might look like. So these are all conceptual. It will look something, variation of this. The fountain looks really good in this rendering. I don't know if that fountain will actually be there or not, but it's pretty when you're sitting across from a donor that wants to potentially be a part of investing in this. And then again, here's another view from the river. If the Brazos looked that clean, I'd swim in it more often. But really unique. I think we've done a really good job. Baylor, the city of Waco, the partnership there over the last 10 years since McLean Stadium. Now that you have these bookends, right? McLean Stadium, Foster Pavilion, right on I-35, right on the Brazos River, with Foster Pavilion kind of bridging that gap between campus and downtown. And then you also have the River Welcome Center going up. That's going to be transformational for prospective students coming to Baylor as well. This is a look inside the main lobby. And so what's unique about this is everyone will enter Foster Pavilion on court level. So this is actually the level, same level as the playing surface. And so people will enter here and go up to the main concourse. And so there will be a full 360-degree concourse. And so most folks, the majority of seating is on an interior bowl on that 100 level. You walk down to your seats. But for some, there's actually a second mezzanine concourse that is a full 360 degrees as well that will service the second deck inside Foster Pavilion. But really trying to create a big, open, grand space so that when you walk in, there's a lot of energy. It does not feel claustrophobic by any means. Here's a view of the main concourse. And so similar to McLean Stadium, we wanted to put restrooms and concessions on the back side of it so it stays open air into the court. So it doesn't feel like you have to leave the game. So if you're at a football game and similar to me, you got to go to the restroom and grab some food, you can run up and kind of peek over and then grab food, run back and kind of catch the game, but never feels like you have to leave the energy of the game. So that's a really unique aspect to this design of the facility and something that the Farrell Center just doesn't have. When you go to the restrooms, when you go to the concourse, you leave the environment of the game. And so it'll be open air like this on the north, south, and east ends of the facility. On the corners, it's actually floor-to-ceiling seating, and so you'll see that here in a minute in the seating bowl. And you can actually see at the top of this image that mezzanine concourse. Again, but what's unique about this is it's a full 360-degree concourse. So our club spaces are actually below it on the court level, bunkered underneath the seating, so that we didn't have to lose flow of fans throughout the facility. This might be the most valuable and impressive image once you understand it that I'll show you. But this is really an overlay of two facilities. In the green is the rake, the elevation of rows from front to last row at the Farrell Center. So you can see over here by the sideline, from the front row all the way to the very far left of this image is the last row at the Farrell Center. In black is the overlay of Foster Pavilion, from the front row to the last row that is up there about midway through the facility from right to left, and then the top third of that. So you can see how much closer fans are to the court. And then secondly, one of our biggest issues with the Farrell Center is those first about 10, 15 rows are really flat. And so trying to create more elevation as each row goes up so that you have better sightlines. Scott and Nikki love this image because it puts fans closer to the court and it puts you looking down at the court. And so you really create this loud home court advantage. So really unique, and for those that were season ticket holders at Floyd Casey and moved over to McLean, very similar approach. Moved everyone closer to the field and kind of stacked up. So it'll be a really intimate environment. This is the premium entrance to the facility. So like I said, there's kind of 3 front doors, but there's one main front door, there's a student entrance, and a club entrance. And so folks will be able to enter into this lobby space and go one of 2 places based on their ticket location. So we have really 3 premium seats at Foster Pavilion. You have your Champions Row seats. Those are the seats that are actually sitting on the wood court. And then you have a club section, and at the top of that club section are what we're calling loge seats, or really loft seats, excuse me. It's similar to a loge box, but not a private box. So it'll be a bar top with a rolling chair, swivel chair, and so a loft seat is what we're calling it. So Champions Rows, the seats on the court, will have access to a little bit smaller, more intimate club space that has a capacity of 160. And then our club section and loft seats will have access to a larger, more social club space. And you'll see images here in a minute that it has a capacity of about 800. So all in all, we have over 900 plus premium tickets inside Foster Pavilion of the roughly 7,000 actual seats. Capacity is 7,500 when you include 500 standing room tickets on top of that. Here's your courtside club tied to the Champions Row seat. So it's a smaller club, more hard seating. The idea is you sit down, have more of a meal here, space for that. On the right side of that image is actually a glass wall. It's got the shades down right now. But what's unique about this space is that glass wall is actually removable. And on the other side of that glass wall is the main lobby. And so you can be in here, there's privacy on the game day, but you can get the energy from their fans entering the main lobby. But then on non-game days, it can be a vent space where you open up that glass wall and now can have a dinner of sorts spanning from the courtside club all the way to the lobby. So it can be a cool flex space. So we'll see how that gets used, but a fun design piece by the owner. This is the sideline club. So this is tied to our club seats and loft seats. So this one really has a capacity of 800. But as you can see here, there's not a lot of tables and chairs. So a lot more soft seating, more of a social environment. Grab your food here, take it back to your seats or stand and eat it. On the right side of this image, you can see some staircases. That actually takes you up into the club section. And so it is literally sitting right underneath the club seats at Foster Pavilion. If you get a chance and you can I think there's actually a live webcam. I don't know where that link is. Somebody needs to send that to me if you have it. Of Foster Pavilion, but you can actually see these, they're called vomitories. These staircases on the club section, you can actually see those taking shape already with the concrete risers that are going in. Here's just another view of the club. Again, a lot more social, soft seating, and kind of a locker room type theme to it. So it'll be fun to see how that comes to fruition in real life. And here's the actual seating bowl. This is what I think is so impressive, is you take a 7,000 seat arena, 7,500 with standing room only, and you get your action and viewership as close to the court as possible and stacked. Fun fact from the architect is the only stadium in college basketball across the country where the average fan will be closer to the court is in Mississippi, Ole Miss. Other than that, no fan will be closer to the court, the average fan, than here at Foster Pavilion. In the gray to the left is our club section, and then at the top of that, you kind of see the concrete chairs. That's those loft seats. So those are your club seats and loft seats. The seats on the floor in front of the club section, and then on the north and south end of the baselines, those are our Champions Row seats. So those are the courtside seats tied to that smaller, more intimate club. And then our benches are opposite the club. And then right behind that, you see those yellow seats and gold seats and gold seats here. Those are our student seats. And so we've created, in essence, a student section, just like a playing stadium, spanning baseline to baseline behind the benches. And so that'll be a really unique piece to the environment. It's having roughly 250 students sitting in those seats right behind the visitor bench. So I think SMU does that. I think Duke maybe does that, and maybe only a handful of others that have students right behind the benches. And then all your other seats in green, I like to call them, they are all premium seats. I don't think there was a bad seat in this pavilion. They just do not have access to a club space. But as you look at it, you can see how close every seat is to the court and how much elevation you get. It is a rectangle environment, whereas Farrell Center is a round arena. And so this gets roughly 75 to 80% of your seats on the sidelines, and then the remaining 20 to 25% on the baselines. It is a true field house effect. So think of Fog Allen Fieldhouse, think of Cameron Indoor. Those are rectangle gymnasiums, but this is going to be brand new, state of the art with all the technology. The other unique thing about this is there is no center hung scoreboard. And so Mac Rhodes, our AD, really wants eyes on the board. And so we have a video board at the north end and then an identical video board at the south end. So when you combine the square footage of those two video boards, we will have more square footage of video board than any other college basketball arena in the nation. So those video boards are big. If you take a look out at the construction, you can see attached to the steel framing is kind of a light gray steel triangle. That is the video board. So you get a kind of a glimpse of how big it really is. This is just another angle of the arena bowl. It kind of gives you perspective of being up at the top of the seating bowl in the corner. Again, you can see how steep it is. Probably won't be that steep in real life, but it does create where you don't have to look around to the right or left of the person in front of you. So, really unique environment. I know that our coaches are really excited. Scott Drew is pumped. I don't think Scott Drew would have ever left, but now he has a reason to leave. He's building a new house, from what I'm told, so he's putting roots down after 20 years, right? And then Nikki's doing a great job as well. So, that is Foster Pavilion in a nutshell. There are two phases, or really three phases, but two that really matter. Oh, it didn't go big, okay. You'll look at it here. So phase one was a Foster Pavilion. So the deadline passed. If you're a Bear Foundation member, you probably would have gotten like 30 emails over the last month and got annoyed with them about purchasing season tickets. If you have a season ticket in Farrell Center, you'll have the opportunity to purchase season tickets in Foster Pavilion, and hopefully everyone will have that opportunity to purchase season tickets. Demand is extremely high, and we are reducing capacity. And part of the reason we're reducing capacity is, very, very rarely do we fill the Farrell Center to capacity. It's usually 1 or 2 games a year, and those games are at capacity because the opposing team fans show up in a couple of thousand in number. And so we really don't want to have opposing team fans at that percentage in the pavilion. Obviously, you will always have some opposing team fans, but we want to reduce capacity. So we're going from 10,300 down to 7,500 in Foster Pavilion. If some of you think that's a small number, the University of Texas just opened their brand new Moody Center In Austin, at a state school with 60,000 plus students in the metropolitan area, much larger than ours, and their capacity is 10,000, so it's actually smaller than Farrell Center. So that is where things are headed, is you want to create a true home court environment. So phase 1 donors will be able to select their seats first in Foster Pavilion. Phase 1 is the folks that are helping us fund this project along with the Fudge Football Development Center. So that $143 million consists of people in phase 1 that have made a gift to that project, or those projects. So we hope to raise around $164+ million to that. And then all of those gifts are supporting the Give Light Capital Fund. And so that's separate of your Bear Foundation, separate of your season ticket costs, and a philanthropic donation to the university. So it's really, really humbling, quite honestly, to see the response we've had from our donors. I kind of look back to McLean Stadium. We built McLean Stadium as a university, fundraising-wise. We average about $40 million a year fundraising as a university. We announced McLean Stadium, started fundraising for that, and we immediately jumped to over $100 million in fundraising on an annual basis. And we averaged out that $100 million for about 8 years. And over the last 3-4 years, we've been averaging north of $150 million in fundraising for the university. So what's really cool to see, in my opinion, is how athletics elevates the university as a whole. And then take that one step further, how it helps elevate Waco and the Waco community. It's remarkable to see the growth of Baylor University in this Central Texas Waco community. And I think personally, and I played football, so I can have my bias, I think McLean Stadium started that. And we're getting to kind of build on the shoulders of that. And so it's amazing to see the number of folks that are stepping up in new ways, the number of new Bear Foundation members, the number of new season ticket holders. Those that don't make a campaign gift will select in phase 2. If you're a $400 Bear Foundation member and season ticket holder, phase 1 has to be a season ticket holder and Bear Foundation member as well. But phase 2 will be your $400 Bear Foundation members and up that are season ticket holders that will select seats. And then from there, if there's inventory that remains, it will go on sale to the rest of the general public. So that's the process for men's basketball and women's basketball and getting season tickets in Foster Pavilion. But again, it's humbling to be involved, to be a part of what's happening here. What we're doing with our student athletes on and off the field is hands down significantly better than what I had, and I had an incredible experience, but what any other student athlete has across the nation. We are doing it the right way, and I'm proud of that. And as a Christian institution, we should be doing it the right way. We're transforming lives. So it's fun to see a part of it. I love this image at the bottom. What's really cool to think about is McLean Stadium opened in August of 2014. We will open Foster Pavilion in January of 2024. And so when you think about a 10-year span in Baylor's history in Waco, Texas, I don't know if there would be a more transformational 10-year span in our history. Then you think about McLean Stadium. We got track and field right here. Mark and Paula Heard Welcome Center is going in the green space right there. You also have the Foster campus where the new business school is at. Foster Pavilion right behind Clifton Robinson. Waco is changing, Baylor is changing, and we get the opportunity to be a part of it and witness it with our own eyes, and so it's special. So with that, I have done a lot of talking. You may have some questions, and so we'd love to take time if you have that. I don't know what time it is, 12:49. And so I'll do my best to answer all the questions that you have. So,
Where's the band going to go in consideration?
Great question. So you see in those gold seats behind the baseline, there's kind of that flat concrete platform. That is where the band will go. And so the band, the conductor, I don't know what you call it, I'm not musically gifted, so your question about the difference in C and D being a fifth, I have no idea what you're talking about. The band will go in that student section, so they're part of the 850 student tickets. This image is slightly different. I think the band will actually be on the section over because it can't be next to the visiting bench, which is that bench right there in the northwest, or the north, or it's actually the south, the top left of this image. That answer that? Is that clear? Yep.
You anticipate selling tickets for tours next spring?
Man, I wish. That'd be a great way to raise money. Problem with tours next spring is you have to deal with the construction people, and they don't like pedestrians out there. I do think we will try to do something for those that are at least in phase one, if not everybody. I don't know how that would work. What we want to do is people to see really how close and intimate things are. So if you're at the top row here, or you're at the first row, the second level, how close you are to the court. We utilize a software system called Bellina. So if you're part of McLean Stadium and a football season ticket holder, you're used to that software. So it tries to create a digital image of what that seat would look like. So we'll at least have that, but as far as what tours look like, honestly, I have no clue on that. I do know that construction companies do not like people like you and I on their side because it's a liability. So we'll see.
Nick?
How many escalators or elevators do you have, particularly to get up to the nosebleed section up there?
Great question. So there are, I think, 3 elevators. Go back. Go back to the main line. So you can see an escalator right there on the right side of the image. There's a staircase here to the left, staircase there to the right. But underneath that escalator, you can kind of see there's kind of a wide gray rectangle box going up and down. That is an elevator shaft for 2 elevators. And so that will service the 100 concourse and the mezzanine right there from the main lobby. And then in the sideline club, so off to the left before you get to where this image is, there's another elevator that will go up and down. So folks that are in this particular area can get to the 100 level concourse as well and go down in their seats with the handicap seats at the top of the 100 level concourse. So I think there's 3 elevators. I know there's 1 escalator, maybe a double escalator, I'm not sure. But yeah, that answer that question? I don't know the number of ADA seats compared to the totality of 7,000 seats, but it will meet whatever that standard code is, if not be above.
How many cars in the parking garage?
I was waiting for the parking question. I think there's north of 400. Is that better? Sometimes I feel like my voice travels further than I think it does. There'll be north of 400 spots in that parking garage, or around 400, which is not many. Parking will all be tied to your Bear Foundation membership level. So Championship Club members at $30,000 a year will get parking first, and then we'll just go down the line to fill those spaces. It will be an adjustment. So if you remember, Floyd Casey to McLean was a big issue about parking because everyone parked around Floyd Casey. And so I remember there was a lot of frustration around the lack of parking at McLean. 10 years later, everyone has adjusted, change is hard, and so there will be an adjustment, and it's a part of it. The great thing is I think the city is going to be building another parking garage. I think I heard in one of their city council meetings or read in the Waco Trib. So don't quote me on that if this is being videoed. But then you got downtown. There will also be another lot that we shuttle from. Like today at Farrell Center, we shuttle from the state parking garage, I think is what it is, and over. So we'll utilize different forms, but yeah, parking is going to be limited. There will be, whatever the requirement is for the number of handicap spaces will be a part of that parking garage.
Is that tied in any way to season tickets and like phase 2?
So parking, Cheryl Irving is the question for this, but I think the way it'll work the same as McLean Stadium. There are handicap spaces around McLean Stadium, and so those that need handicap spaces that have and can show proof of a handicap tag, they will get those handicap spaces based on their Bear Foundation ranking, and so we'll just go down the order until those spaces are filled. And then there will be an alternative option like the brick is on football game days, where you can park there for handicap and get shuttled over. So there will be adjustments that have to be made, but there will be handicap.
We use the shuttle currently. I'm not sure if we're able to do that, but the shuttle has worked very well.
Very well. There will be some sort of, the shuttle will be utilized at probably an even higher rate once we move into Foster Pavilion. And so I don't know if that's the Dutton parking garage that gets utilized on game days. I don't know if that's McLean Stadium that gets utilized on game days and use that parking to shuttle people over. I don't know what that looks like. So I know the city of Waco created a parking coalition or something to kind of begin to help with what the parking looks like and ingress and egress.
So you're working with Waco Transit?
I am not, but I am sure somebody in athletics is working with the city, and they've created kind of a committee to help with parking, because downtown is continuing to grow beyond just Foster Pavilion. This is really kind of the anchor project for the Riverwalk and the development that's happening there. So hopefully that helps enough. I just don't have a lot of clear answers on that. I don't know the answer to that. My assumption is I know the Farrell Center is staying. My assumption is commencement will still take place at the Farrell Center. And when you think about, you've got to block off, 20% of your seats because of the stage. I don't know if Foster Pavilion will be big enough to hold everyone for a commencement. And so I would assume it still takes place at the Farrell Center, and parking is a lot easier at the Farrell Center than it will be at Foster Pavilion. So that's my assumption. One more.
I think you answered part of this, but you've got a lot of echo over there. So you said you're going to use Molina to check. When are you going to do that? In the spring?
Yeah, great question. Should have added that. So seat selection will take place in the summer, probably most likely July, maybe even into August, because we'll have our first game in January of 24. So non-conference men's and women's basketball will be played at the Farrell Center, and then as we move into conference play, we will move across the highway to the Foster Pavilion. So we'll all need to be flexible next basketball season. But yeah, so the seat selection will take place in the summertime.
But in the spring, we'll start look at Foster seats?
Yeah, I mean, at some point that will come out. I don't know. Bellina cannot be created until the seat manifest is finalized, and that's one of the last things that actually happens in a construction project, is the seating gets finalized. And so at some point, if it's a month before, you're going to get some sort of lead time to look around Bellina. And I think as much as we can update, there's a website. If you go to BaylorBears.com, you can find it at the kind of the top scroll for Foster Pavilion. So there will be some sort of lead time. I don't know if that will be March, April, May, June on that front. Awesome. Hopefully I didn't bore you too much. So thank y'all so much.
Thank you, Nick. How exciting to hear the progress that we're making out there. If you don't have your season tickets, get on there and start working on that now. I want to re-welcome our guests. We had quite a few guests today. Thank you all for being here. Thank you all for being patient with our move over to the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. Again, I want to thank the Texas Sports Hall of Fame for hosting us today, and the great meal and the great ambiance for being here. It really worked out well, and I appreciate all the hard work that went into making that happen. Our next meeting will be on January 17th, back at the Baylor Club at 11:30 is when we kind of start getting there. So if anybody wants to get there early and socialize, and then we'll have our regular lunch, and the meeting will start at 12:10 as usual. All right, if you will, please stand with me. We'll do the four-way test of the things Rotarians think, say, and do. Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? We are adjourned.